Hello, how are you doing today? I hope today you are well. So, today I just wanted to tell you a story of a great chess player who was in the United States of America. And this great chess player is none other than Robert J. Fischer. His nickname mainly he was called Bobby Fischer. That was his nickname. So today I'm going to tell you the story of Bobby Fischer. So today many people argue that there are more legends to the game of chess like Magnus Carlsen and also other players also like the Japanese player or Chinese player. People argue that, but to this particular person called Bobby Fischer, he has his own unique characters that makes him become the best player in the whole world according to the game of chess. There are many players alongside players like Messi, Ronaldo in other types of sports, but when it comes to the sports of chess, this is the person who name is known by every upcoming chess player and every upcoming player who wants to be a great chess player. So the name which everybody knows and everybody who plays chess knows to be the greatest is none other than Bobby Fischer. So Bobby Fischer, when he was a young boy, his mother gave birth to him. Many people say that the father of Bobby Fischer is not the father which many people know, because the father of Bobby Fischer, they say he was another he came out of wedlock where his mother had an affair with another man. That's why she was able to give birth to Bobby Fischer. So the father of Bobby Fischer, many people speculate that the father of Bobby Fischer uh was a scientist, biological scientist, and the mother also was a bright person who had crammed almost 6 languages and above, speaking all of the languages in very fluent terms, all 7 languages. The mother was speaking all of them. So the mother and also the father were obviously genius, and that's why the character trait of Bobby Fischer came from his parents. So when he was a young boy at the age of 7 is when he was introduced to the game of chess, and the sister is the one who introduced Bobby Fischer to the game of chess. And from there is when Bobby Fischer grew his interest in playing chess. And after growing his interest in playing chess, what happened is the sister brought home a chess board where they were able to compete between the sister and also Bobby Fischer. After competing between the two of them, the sister saw that Bobby Fischer has a talent in him. So the sister opted to nurture that talent. The sister was older than Bobby Fischer. So Bobby Fischer, when he was around 7, is when he was introduced and he showed good character traits of playing. So around the age of 14, the sister took him to a national championship chess where they were to play a very famous championship uh, or a title honor. But Bobby Fischer in that game, he was able to be defeated. But at the age of 14, there was a coach who was at that particular game tournament, saw that there was a talent in Bobby Fischer. After seeing this talent in Bobby Fischer, that coach opted to train Bobby Fischer and to bring up Bobby Fischer, because it was so remarkable that a young boy could take a great championship honor, title honor, for more than 14 minutes in a game. Bobby Fischer and the championship title honor were played for the game of chess for almost 14 minutes. And there were other people, around 12 people playing the same game at once. But Bobby Fischer, being at a young age, was able to take this person to a length. And imagine, this is a world chess champion player being taken to a long period of time. So after that, coach saw that there was power and opportunity and something inside Bobby Fischer that he will be able to become a great chess player. That mentor opted for himself and devoted for himself to train Bobby Fischer to brush him off so that he can become a great world chess player. So after years passed, Bobby Fischer was now being able to play against other world championships of chess and also take across games of chess and also tournaments. So Bobby Fischer, around the age of 17, when he was continuing with school, he saw that school wasn't an option for him. So what Bobby Fischer decided is to drop out of school and continue with his career of playing chess. So continuing with his career of playing chess, Bobby Fischer is where he found a worldwide title and he was able to pursue his career very well. And after quitting the game of chess, he was able to see other players and play against also other players who, and eventually Bobby Fischer was winning most of the games which he was playing. Most of the games, Bobby Fischer was the one who was coming on top. He wasn't coming on top just any type of top, but he was winning at a very high strike rate. Like 20 games consecutive, he was the one who was winning. 20 games consecutive. And this is the type of things which chess, in the chess world, no one does these certain types of things. Winning 20 times consecutive, and you're not playing by any other person, you're playing by the great championships of the world, and you're winning 20 times consecutive. So Bobby Fischer had something unique in him, and by having this type something unique in him, he was able to grow and also further his career. But there was one simple thing about Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer used to keep grudges, and Bobby Fischer is a person who would want people to go by his demands. If Bobby Fischer, you wouldn't meet his demands in certain types of games, Bobby Fischer wouldn't be able to come into that game and play that game. So Bobby Fischer would sometimes, because when he grew, the ego also grew, and also he demanded some type of things to be done in the chess world, that some of them could be done and some of them were impossible. So Bobby Fischer was basically demanding, and if you don't meet up to his demands, he won't come to the game. He won't play the game. He will boycott the game. So by these demands of Bobby Fischer, most of the times the chess people were able to meet his demands, and sometimes they were not being able to meet his demands, because sometimes they were reasonable and sometimes they were not reasonable. So Bobby Fischer was that type of person he wanted people to circumvent according to his own terms. So the chess world it was a shocking, because most of the are like this. Most of the genius, even Albert Einstein and the Da Vinci people, also there are people who want people to go according to their own rules. So Bobby Fischer was basically like that. Imagine the whole chess game revolving to only one person, who is Bobby Fischer. So Bobby Fischer, the chess people were oftenly, because what Bobby Fischer did, he will start the game very nice and play with an opponent very nice. After playing with the opponent very nice, in the middle of the game, Bobby Fischer decides to quit the game and also boycotts the game. So this also made the event organizers and also the people who coordinated that event angry, and also they needed to plead with him to meet with his requirements. So most of the games, Bobby Fischer will basically bail out on the games. In the middle of the game, Bobby Fischer bails out. So in the chess world, if you know very well, no one is able to win more than 15 games or 20 games consecutive. Even today, that record has never been broken, because winning 20 games consecutive, these people, you are not playing against any type of people. You are playing against the world best chess players. So if you win in 20 games consecutive, that's a crazy number of times which you win. Winning 5 times or more than 5, like 6 and 7, that is understandable. But winning 20 times, no one has ever achieved this before. Even right now, the world holding title, Magnus Carlsen, has never achieved this, of winning 20 times consecutive. It is impossible. They say it is impossible, but Bobby Fischer did that. And Bobby Fischer, if his career was going on well, there was another time where he was playing again against a Russian person called Bobby Spassky. He was playing against Spassky, which he was contending for his 11th chess title player. So at this game, Bobby Fischer, it was an interesting game. At this game, there was a Cold War which was happening between Russia and the United States. So United States being the country of Bobby Fischer is where Fischer will be able to represent United States against Russia, and Russia will be able to play against USA and see who is the currently leading person in the chess world. So it wasn't only a game, but also a power of brains, and also to compare between the two countries which produces the best chess players. So Bobby Fischer, although USA didn't support Bobby Fischer well, like the way Russians supported the other person, Spassky, Russians, what they did, Spassky had more people on his team, where those people were players and also retired people who used to play chess, who will analyze the game of chess very well. And after analyzing the game of chess, they will refer to the Spassky, and Spassky will know the weakness of any type of player he's playing against. So the work was to see the his their work was to see the weaknesses of the Bobby Fischer, and seeing the weakness of Bobby Fischer, they will be able to tell Spassky, the one who was playing against Bobby Fischer, so that the Spassky could be able to win. But in the first game, what happened basically is that Spassky was able to defeat Bobby Fischer, and it was so controversial that Bobby Fischer, in the second game, Bobby Fischer withdrew it from it because there were too many cameras and the tension was very high. So Bobby Fischer had requested something. He said that he wants all the cameras to be switched off, and they want for them to play in a quiet place where there will be no one more than cameras, because the cameras were making Bobby Fischer. They were making Bobby Fischer scared and also intimidating him. So the Spassky, in a sportsmanship, accepted to what Bobby Fischer had asked, although the other championships of the chess had refused. So what Spassky did was to intervene for Bobby Fischer and asked people to meet what Bobby Fischer said and to meet his requirements. So they took this chess tournament into a more private place. After taking it to a more private place, Bobby Fischer was able to win Spassky in I think it was in a 7-13 to 7-14. 7-14. Bobby Fischer, from that 2-0, where that 2 came about when he refused to play the second game, it was automatically given to Spassky. So after taking it to a private place, Spassky had scored 7 games. On the other hand, Bobby Fischer had scored around 14 games. So Bobby Fischer eventually was able to defeat Spassky and was able to be crowned the 11th championship title holder of the chess world. So Bobby Fischer was crowned to that, and he was known for what he had did and what he achieved. And that time he put the name of USA into the world, and people knew that the USA was a country which produces also best players. So Bobby Fischer, in the careers later on, there was a game where they didn't meet his requirements, and what Bobby Fischer did was to boycott the game. Some of the things which he had asked for was reasonable, and some of them were not reasonable. So what he did, he boycotted, and unfortunately he boycotted for more than 20 years. 20 years. Bobby Fischer was a person who could keep a grudge for even a lifetime. He would keep a grudge. So he boycotted this thing for more than 20 years, and his chess career eventually stopped by this, because it was a chess tournament where he said he won't play again, and this went for more than 20 years. So after boycotting that chess tournament, there's something which he did against the USA. He had uttered some remarks against the USA. And after uttering some remarks against the USA, he became a fugitive in his own country. So he opted to go to another country where I think it was Cyprus. He went to Cyprus where he lived there. After living there, although he was a fugitive and the people of USA were looking for him because of his remarks, and Bobby Fischer was a person who used to make anti-Jewish remarks. Although the mother was a Jewish person, but Bobby Fischer himself used to make anti-Jewish remarks. And some of these things is the one that made people not like Bobby Fischer, but Bobby Fischer, like him or not, he was still a champion. So some of the things were not right and appropriate for what he was saying. But around, I think he died around 20, he died with the age of 64 years. And people dying at the age of 64 years, people say that the 64 years represent the number of squares in the chessboard player, because the number of squares on the upper side is 32 and the lower side is 32. The black is 32 and the white is 32. Gathering them up together is 64. So basically people say he was meant to be a chess player, because when you look at the age when he died, 64, and the board of chess 64. So this is what some people say, and I hope this story was a nice story about Bobby Fischer, and this is why many people regard Bobby Fischer as their champion and a great chess player, because of what he has done and everything I've explained. And that was the story of Bobby Fischer. So let me see you next time, and please subscribe to this channel if you like to this story, and please watch out for the next stories, and please subscribe. Thank you so much. Till I see you next time.